As of this video, unOrdinary has 138 chapters plus 3 fast pass chapters, and unOrdinary is ranked, I believe, third overall in terms of popularity online webtoon, but first in the fantasy genre, even over Tower of God. But does it deserve this level of attention it's getting and praise? Let's talk about it.
I got a plan, ayy, ice drip on my hand, ayy, yeah. I got a plan, ayy, ice drip on my man, ayy, yeah. I got a plan, ayy, these niggas don't wanna go hands, ayy, yeah. I got a plan, like
Long story short, yes, I think it deserves it. I've always thought unOrdinary was a pretty damn solid series from the get-go, from jump. This is an original webtoon series created by Chelsea Han, otherwise known as Uru-Chan, and has become a series published online webtoon after being on the site's Challenge League. Apparently, it's also very popular in Spanish. It takes place in a world where humans have all sorts of supernatural abilities, and the power, potential, potency, and overall strength of said abilities pretty much dictate social order and, for the most part, your future. The stronger you are, the more you are praised, the more power you have, and the more power you have over people ranked weaker or lower than you. You can get away with more shit in terms of the rules and the laws. It's simple but effective because there's a lot of lessons you can instill into a reader in a world like this. The powerless are bullied, shunned, beaten down, cast aside, and generally seen as non-contributing citizens to overall society. Not needed, while the high-ranking people get to do as they please. So we have our main character John, who is a cripple, meaning he has no abilities and thus is constantly picked on. But his best friend at Wellston happens to be the school's ace, the strongest being in the school, the beautiful, smart, and powerful Seraphina, and this is their story. So as you can see, the overall synopsis is pretty simple. Uru-Chan also keeps the general in-lore terms of this world simple, not opting to give all the in-story jargon unnecessarily different names. The ranking system is easy to follow, so are the stats, abilities, and applications. I like this because I think there is a beauty to simplicity, because without all the unneeded clutter, the readers are able to focus on what matters in unOrdinary. There's no unnecessary lore because the world takes place in a world like ours, just that people have their powers. They're shooting beams out their hand. And to me, the things that truly matter in unOrdinary are the characters, because I think it's a character-driven series. The interpersonal relationships between them, which are very, very, very good. And I would say the themes, the lessons it instills in a reader. When I think of unOrdinary, I'm a little bit reminded of a certain magical index just because I think about how much espers mean to that society and the fact that Toma is a lot like John in the sense that they're supposed to both be like bottom of the barrel, things at level 0, John's a cripple. I think a bit of My Hero Academy just because that world seems to have a lot more human beings with supernatural abilities and looks than those who do not. But the general outlook on normal or people with weak quirks seem to be fine. But in terms of moral of the story, so to speak, I think of Mob Psycho 100. When I think about the general takeaway of unOrdinary, I think of being innately talented or gifted should not give you the right to stand above rules, laws, be shitty to the less fortunate, and absolutely have a disregard for everyone and everything around you because you're so great at this thing or that thing. Might does not make right. You should treat everyone with the same level of respect and fairness. However, the world ain't that sweet though. And this series portrays that harsh reality extremely well, and I love it. I think the relationships, friendships, and bonds in unOrdinary are spectacular. I think of John and Seraphina. They have such great chemistry and believability to their friendship, especially how it came to be, super organic. I think of Blake and Easton. They're very dope. And my personal favorite being Arlo and Wellston High. Arlo and the hierarchy. Arlo, Sarah, and John are 3 excellent characters, by the way. They command respect and attention when they're on panel. The narrative's funny, charming, cute, endearing, and drawn very well. My only 2 nitpicks being the overall paneling and layout, but this is more of a long strip form line/naver webtoon issue. It's not a big deal. It just all samey to me. And I would say the action is way more than passable. I like it. It's pretty good. It's just that when you compare it to the action portions of something like a Solo Leveling, it's a little lackluster. It leaves more to be desired, though I have already seen improvement. So she's on the right track in terms of that. With that being said, it's absolutely worth your time. I think at worst, this series is 8 out of 10 as of right now. I just hope it doesn't drag too long and kind of get a little bit aimless. Kind of like Girls of the Wild did for a bit, because that had a really strong start as well. That being said, stay tuned for more videos on some of the characters and whatnot in this series. I do want to talk about Arlo, because Arlo is my personal favorite character. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, if you were thinking about reading it, or you read a bit of it and didn't know to continue, I think you should continue. This series is absolutely worth your time. It's a pretty easy read too. So have a good day. I'm gonna be out. I think John is a absolutely fantastic lead. I didn't want to talk about it in, I guess, the main video itself, because I wanted to just kind of put it aside to say this, because I think his struggle with his past is phenomenal. I don't really think you can truly 100% change a human being, but if you have a human being who does something and you kind of rehabilitate and reform them, but you throw them back into that environment, they're going to relapse or re-become the person they once were to some degree, or struggle very hard to fight against it, because John has been doing everything he could to not resort back to what he once was. Now, I do think he took the complete opposite extreme by being like, well, I just don't have any powers. I think maybe being a low tier or something might have been a little better for him. I don't know what the answer is, because honestly, if you're just not strong, you get bullied, doesn't really matter. So it is what it is in this world, where it's kind of extreme with it. But seeing him constantly battle it, where it's like, no, like, you guys keep dragging me back into this person I don't want to be, but seeing that person is very much still there, I love it. It's great. He's a fantastic lead. I also think that what they do with his powers, at least as of right now, was pretty smart, because it seems to me that it's very conditional, depending on who he's fighting, what their abilities are, and how many he's seen during a certain span of time. He can't just keep and stack them, from what I can tell. So it's like, if I had the power to shoot, heat vision, and he saw that 2 years ago, I don't think he can just do it on command. I think you'd have to see me do it again, and then he could use it. So I like that there's limitations to it. So depending on what he's doing, he could be OD strong or not as strong. Because if I just try to fight him straight up in hand-to-hand combat and don't use any powers, he doesn't have anything to kind of pull from. So that's really good. Seraphina fall from grace, quote unquote, which is really what allowed her to be herself and be happy and not have to deal with the very strict rules and confines of society and the pressure everyone kept putting on her, I think was dope. How her relationship with John started, I think was really good too. I really like it. I think she's a great character. And it's just weird how it's kind of flipped, like she's the unordinary now. Like, I see what you did there. I see what you did there, Uru-Chan. Like, that shit's fire. Like, I see you. I'm with it. And my boy, Arlo, the king. Woo! That's my man. I love Arlo. All those frustrations to me are so realistic. I every time he's like, Jesus fucking Christ, I get it. I understand. Even though I do think he started to kind of learn that the social hierarchy that he believes in so strongly, it's not perfect. There's flaws with it, and he's starting to see some of that, and he's struggling with it. But man, the way that he's just like, no, like the weak gotta stay in their place. Like, there's a way things work. It's just such a product of his environment, of his socialization, and his upbringing. That's just like how it is for him. But if he can kind of break out of that mental strain and kind of see what his predecessor was like, and Ray, and why he wanted more people to just get along, I think you're gonna get a really good character out of him, especially when we dive into his past and learn more about him. But this series is fantastic. I absolutely love it. So stay tuned for some more streams and videos on it. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna be out though.
Cold world, but I don't wanna lose my heart, yeah. I feel like awkward cause they left me in the dark, yeah. I got these feelings but emotions fall apart, yeah. I loved you once but I didn't play it smart, yeah.